Hi, I'm Don from DonDronesOn. Here's a quick summary of the latest quarterly meeting between the DPAC Steering Committee and Transport Canada's RPAS team. Let's jump in. Our virtual meeting took place on October the 22nd and was well attended by both the DPAC Steering Committee members and Transport Canada. This was our first opportunity to meet Paul Bolt, the new acting leader of the RPAS task force, and as such, we took a moment to share introductions all around. While Paul comes to Transport Canada with fixed wing and helicopter experience, he indicated he is rapidly becoming familiar with RPAS issues. This was a relatively short meeting, only an hour, so after the introductions, we dove into the agenda. First was an update on the new regulations. As I mentioned in a previous video, the long-awaited expanded rules have been pushed out about 6 months. We're now expecting the official announcement sometime in early 2025, with the full coming into effect expected in the fall of 2025, about a year from now. Apparently, the delay was mainly due to their attempt to properly assess and incorporate all the feedback they've received from the drone community, which is, of course, a good thing. The team stated they did submit all their draft material into the process on time, but interactions with the Treasury Board took longer than expected, and hence the delay. Now, it may seem strange that the Treasury Board is involved in drone regulations, but they are part of the process for updating all laws in Canada. I've put out several videos about the new regulations, but here's a quick recap. For those with advanced pilot certifications, there are 2 new allowances being proposed: flying around structures and flying slightly farther out of visual line of sight. For larger commercial drones, there's a whole new set of rules for flying drones up to 150 kilograms and also for low-risk BVLOS operations. In addition to these bigger changes, there are many small tweaks to the regular rules. But the bad news is that registration fees were being proposed to go from $5 to $10, and fairly hefty application fees were on the table for SFOCs as well. DPAC provided a significant amount of feedback to Transport Canada on these proposals. And while TC has assured us that they have taken all feedback to heart, I'm somewhat doubtful that major changes, such as a simpler situational awareness rule or the more sensible FPV rules we suggested, will be in the final regulations. The second agenda item was an update on aviation radio use. The issue here is that you must have a license from ISED in order to talk on an aviation radio, on top of having your ROC A. But the catch is that ISED is not licensing drone pilots. This dispute has been going on for 2.5 years, since June of 2022, with virtually no progress. So it was refreshing to hear this time that something may actually happen. We were told that a limited licensing trial will take place before the end of the year, this year. I'm not holding my breath, but it does sound promising. We'll see. Our third topic was to discuss new items that appeared in the latest version of the AIM, or Aeronautical Information Manual. Now, I've got a full video out about these changes, so please check that out for details. We talked first about why the AIM was worded in what I call a wishy-washy way about flying near wildlife, and they explained that these wildlife-related regulations are outside of TC control. And so the most they could do was highlight the existence of these other rules and provide a web reference for us to check into. Fair enough. We also heard some of the background behind the upcoming RPAS-only restricted zones. Apparently, a number of establishments like prisons and major power plants were requesting no-fly zones for drones. But the only way to do this was either by creating new Class F restricted zones or with NOTAMs. Now, larger prisons do have Class F restricted zones already, but these apply to both manned aircraft and drones, and doing this for lots of additional prisons could become burdensome. And similarly, NOTAMs aren't an ideal solution because they aren't permanent and can clutter up flight plans for manned aircraft. Some nuclear power plants, such as Darlington and Pickering in Ontario, have recurring NOTAMs in place, but it's a pain to keep renewing these. So the idea was to create a new class of restricted zone, applicable only to RPAs or drones, and manage them through NAV Canada publications. Now, unfortunately, we ran out of time before all our questions could be answered, but there are follow-up conversations happening. I'll update you when we hear back with more information. So there we have it, another constructive and informative meeting with TC and a good opportunity to meet the new leader, Paul Bolt. Thanks for watching.